Hello everybody, my name is Natalia Leigh and I'm the author of the young adult novels Highborn and Way of Spears, and today I am super excited to finally be bringing you my new and updated outlining video. Just this morning I finished the edits on my massive 13,000 word outline and I am finally ready to tell you exactly how I did it. Let's get started. First off, I want to talk a little bit about why I choose to outline and why I wanted to make such a crazy, massive, in-depth outline this time around. I've always been a plotter. Granted, before the Song of the Dryad, I was more of a planter than anything else because I would know my major plot points and I would put them on a storyboard, but I would always pants my way through the big sections that I didn't already have planned out. And I thought that that was okay for me, but it turned out that by the time I got to the end of my first draft, I had plot holes, character inconsistencies, and just a big mess, really. So then it ended up being a ton of work for me to edit, and I would have to go through a bunch of rounds of edits just to get it to be something that made sense. And I've really struggled with that. What I have decided to do this time around with the Song of the Dryad is literally plan out everything. I know the beginning, middle, climax, and end, and I know every single thing that happens in between those big points. Now that I have this massive outline, I think I'm going to be able to write faster, I won't have to edit as much, and by the time I finish my first draft, I should have something that's cohesive and makes sense. Okay, the first step is the ideas slash brainstorming slash pre-outlining step. And this for me just meant getting as many ideas as I possibly could and writing them all down. Now remember that ideas come from everywhere. You can have ideas when you're in the shower, when you're getting ready in the morning, maybe when you're going to bed or just waking up. For me, a lot of my ideas arrive through listening to music, because when I listen to music, I picture very cinematic scenes, I picture my characters doing gallant, brave, heroic things, and as I'm picturing those, I am writing all these ideas down as I'm getting them. So if you don't want to carry around a journal with you, or if you don't have one that's small enough to carry around, I highly recommend using your phone. My Android has a notes function, so I can just type things in there if I get ideas on the go and I can't get to a pen and paper. You can use your iPod, your tablet, your laptop, really anything that you have with you. You can even put a bunch of sticky notes in your pocket if you want and write your ideas down on those so that when you get home, you can organize them and look back over them. Very often we will get a great idea and then we'll think, oh, we'll remember that, there's no need to write it down. But I cannot tell you how many amazing ideas I have just let slip away by doing that. So if you have a good idea, make sure that you write it down. So once I have all of my ideas, I start arranging them into paragraph format. Now the first time I do this, it doesn't have to be super clean. I'll be compiling it and sometimes I'll make a note like, add more here, or increase romantic tension here. So I know what needs to happen in that scene, but I don't yet know how to make it happen. So just go ahead and fill your outline with those little notes if you need them, add more action, take out dialogue, stuff like that, just to kind of trigger your memory when you're going back through and editing this, because there will be a lot of editing as well. The purpose of this whole draft and compiling everything into paragraphs is to literally be an entire summary of the book. So it's going to take a while and it's going to be pretty big. So do not rush yourself, just have patience and work slowly, because you want to make sure you're not leaving anything out. If you feel like you don't have enough ideas for the middle chunk or act 2 of your novel, make a note of that and continue working on it. Do not move on to the next step that I'm about to share with you until you have this completely done. This is not a process that works very well if you have big chunks in your kind of planning phase. You need to have everything figured out before you move on to each next step. All right, so now you have the entire summary of the book written. It's broken down into paragraphs that read smoothly, they're cohesive, and they make sense. Now it's time to start breaking that down into chapters. So as you're looking for the rising and falling action within that massive paragraph summary that you have, start breaking it down into chapters. And then within those chapters, you can also note scene breaks. I think right now I only have one big scene break that I have written into my outline, and otherwise everything is just chapter format. The other thing that I did that was really important for how I'm telling my story was to write down and make a note of the day of the week and also the day of the month, because the Song of the Dryad has to occur over 1 month. It occurs over the month of October, and every day is incredibly important because it has a lot to do with kind of the moon cycles. So I needed to know how many days were passing in order to make sure that I was telling the story correctly. Also, if you're like writing a contemporary, this could also be really important, because I've heard of some authors that will write an entire contemporary and then go back and realize that they have completely forgotten to write weekends in. You know, like if you're writing school-based fiction and you just completely forget that weekends occur between Friday and Monday. So that would be really tedious to have to go back and add all that in. So if you think it would help you, make sure to mark down what day of the week each chapter is occurring on. Alright, so now you have your massive summary broken down into all your chapters. Do you think you're done? No. It is time to edit that. So once you have all of your chapters organized, go ahead and print that out. It helps so much to be able to hold it and look at it while you're editing, because you're going to read it differently if you're seeing it on a piece of paper rather than on a computer screen. So once you have it printed out, get your red pen ready, because it's time to start ripping it apart. Make sure that you're noting any plot holes, or if you find that you started a plot thread somewhere and then didn't pick it up later, circle it or star it or make a note of it so that you know to add it back in a later chapter. This was tedious and kind of slow for me, but I also really enjoyed it because each time I would complete a plot thread, I felt like this big, shapeless thing I was creating was starting to look more like the book I was trying to write. So even though you might think, oh, I don't need to edit now, I can just edit when I'm done with the book, I strongly urge you against that, because if you do a little bit of editing now, it will save you a bunch of editing later. So after you have made all of your notes, return back to your Scrivener or your Word document or whatever it is that you're using. So you're going to input all of your changes, and then you can print it out again if you want to. I didn't, just because I'm a bit of a tree hugger and I wanted to save paper. So after I made my second round of edits, then I just read through it because it's even more polished now, and then I made more notes and changes on the actual document. And then after you have done all that, you are completely finished with your outline. My final outline is sitting at about 15,000 words right now. So it is massive, and it took a lot of time. It took almost a month for me to completely write the whole outline and break it into chapters and edit it, but it has been so worth it. I am going to start writing either tonight or tomorrow, and I'm incredibly excited moving forward because there aren't any questions left lingering. I know exactly what happens in every single chapter. I know where all the character development occurs. I know where romantic tension occurs. I know all of these things now, so I don't have to struggle later to add them to my novel. So I know this might seem like a lot, and it's certainly a lot of hard work, but writing a novel is not easy, especially if you want to write one for publication. If you're just writing a novel for yourself, I think it's phenomenal and fantastic that you're doing that, but it's not going to take as much editing and kind of combing over as it would if you were writing it for publication. So if you are watching this video right now and you want to write with the intent to sell it and have readers around the world fall in love with it and fall in love with your characters, then do yourself a favor and take the time to write an outline. Pantsing will often just write you into plot holes and write you into corners, and if you feel like that allows you more freedom, then that's fantastic and you can just scurry away from this video when it's over. But if you're someone like me who wants to know exactly what's happening and wants to have something really nicely tied up at the end of your first draft, then definitely think about using this outlining method, all right? Okay, so before I go, I want to answer a question that I received on YouTube today. So the question I received is, as a writer, should you have a blog? And if you don't enjoy blogging, should you try to kind of force yourself into it? And I'm going to say absolutely not. If you do not like blogging, then there's no need for it. I think blogs are kind of common right now, but I don't read them. Personally, I do not read them all that often. And I know that my website, I host my website through Blogger. So long ago when I first started that website, all I knew how to do was blog, and I didn't have my YouTube channel, so it was my only method of getting out there in social media and to my readers. But if you are using other social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, etc., then I recommend spending your time on those platforms rather than trying to force yourself to write a blog post that you're not that excited about. Some of my favorite authors have super simple websites and they never blog. Really, I go to author websites to read FAQs, to read information about when their books are coming out, maybe to try to find character art, but I'm not necessarily looking for a bunch of blog posts because I just get bogged down with those and they don't interest me. So if blogging does not interest you, then do something that does, you know? You can make YouTube videos, or you can make posts on your Facebook, or you can make character art and post it on Instagram or DeviantArt. Whatever it is that you really enjoy, pour yourself into that, pour yourself into your passion, and it will reward you. Thank you for that question, and thank you to everybody that stuck it out and watched this whole video. I'm incredibly excited to start writing either tonight or tomorrow, and I'm going to be tweeting about it. So if you don't already follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Natalia A. Leigh, and that is linked below. If you have any other questions about outlining, please do not hesitate to contact me. I love chatting with you guys. I love answering questions, and I just want to help you out. That's why I'm making these videos, is because I love sharing my knowledge. So please send your questions my way and I will make sure to try to answer each and every one of them. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you aren't already, you can subscribe down below by hitting the red button. Thank you again so much for watching today, and I'm going to catch you in my next video. All right, bye!